good morning to you, Nigerians. This is On Record, where every word matters. My name is Oyim Priye Krumale. After 4 days of coalition, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakub, declared the All Progressives Congress candidate Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the former governor of Lagos State winner of the presidential elections with 8,794,726 votes. The candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, got 6,984,520 votes, while Peter Obi of Labour Party garnered 6,101,533 votes. Since the polls ended on Saturday, there has been claims and counterclaims about the conduct of the elections, thus calling for the cancellation of the election. The latest was yesterday when the vice presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Ifeanyi Okowa, and his Labour Party counterpart, Dati Baba Ahmed, have unanimously called on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to cancel the February 25th presidential and National Assembly elections. In Lagos State, besides, businesses have been unusual, as most organizations have resorted to working from home. Schools are still on break. Vendors are yet to return fully to their business centers since the end of the election, as there have been reports of alleged tribal conflicts. Well, our guest today on the program is the Police Public Relations Officer of Lagos State Command, Superintendent of Police Benjamin Hundeyin. We will be having this conversation this morning to get some response from him, how the Nigerian police in Lagos were able to respond to some of the distress calls during elections and how they fared, including some of the complaints we received from voters about thuggery and intimidation in the polling units. It's On Record, where every word matters. We're going to break, and when we return, our conversation continues. Do stay with us.
On Record,
every word matters.
If it's public opinion, expert analysis, information that matters to you, we have it on record. Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. on High Impact 102.1 FM. Call us 0700-1021-1021. WhatsApp 0907-224-5018.
On Record,
every word matters.
Record,
every word matters.
Welcome back, and many thanks for joining us on the program. Currently, I have our guest today on the program is the Police Public Relations Officer of Lagos State, Superintendent of Police Benjamin Hundeyin, and we are considering assessing the post-election crisis in Lagos State. Welcome once again to the program, Benjamin Hundeyin.
Good morning. Thank you for having me today.
You're very much welcome. Mr. Benjamin, there were reports of widespread violence and intimidation of voters during the presidential and National Assembly elections in Lagos. Some of us, or the Lagosians, would like to know how your team forestall these acts of violence and voter intimidation.
Well, I would like to correct one impression. You said widespread. I like to correct that.
Okay.
Widespread. We have in Lagos 13,325 polling units. 13,325 polling units. had incidents in hundreds of them. We were able to correct and save the day in hundreds. And we have confirmed 28 polling units where there was disruption of election. So if out of over 13,000, you had issues in less than 50, that does not qualify to be called widespread.
Okay.
Having said that, yes, we have arrested suspects. They are at the state CID. Their investigation should be wrapping up any moment from now, and they will be arraigned accordingly in line with the Electoral Act 2022.
Okay, Mr. Benjamin, like how many suspects were arrested?
We have 23 suspects in custody, and we're still open to receiving complaints of any issue. And the moment we receive such complaints, definitely it's our duty. We are duty bound to look into it and get more suspects arrested if found culpable.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Benjamin. Now, during the presidential elections, we saw a lot of things, and some persons that we have the opportunity to interact with by virtue of a job have told us that they listened to our former conversation we had with you on radio, and they would like to have another one, which is one of the reasons for this. Now, just as there were bullying and intimidations and threats on voters during presidential National Assembly elections on February 25th, there are reports that these threats will take a graver dimension during the March 11th gubernatorial and state assembly polls if the police does not take proactive action. Is the police assuring Lagosians that the violence will not repeat itself in the governorship elections come March 11th?
While I cannot assure Lagosians that some people would not attempt to scuttle the process, I can assure Lagosians that we are on ground. Not that we will be on ground. We are already on ground. We've not called off our security architecture. We are on ground, and we would respond swiftly to any attempt to scuttle the process. We'll respond swiftly to any attempt to intimidate or harass voters. Do not forget that the police is not doing this alone. We are doing it in partnership with sister security agencies.
Okay.
So in a place where it looks like the police cannot get there on time, and there is probably a military detachment around that area, they will definitely step in. It shouldn't be seen as some people try to say, oh, police is abdicating this responsibility. No. While the military is attending to some places, the police is also somewhere attending to things. So I want to assure Lagosians that we are on ground, and we would not relent in our efforts to ensure that the elections go well.
Okay, Mr. Benjamin, there are some issues that Nigerians, or let me use Lagosians, would like to hear directly from you. They feel somehow when they go to polling units to cast their votes, and whilst they are doing that, when some level of violence or disruption erupts, they see police officers standing by, but most times, because these police officers are not armed, they cannot engage those fomenting trouble who are wielding either machetes, broken bottles, sticks, and other dangerous weapons to attack voters. In such case, the police is just standing unarmed and observing and noting what's happening. They are asking questions. What's the purpose and the presence of the police in the polling units in the first place if they are not going to intervene?
Okay, I'll say this. Last year, in the build-up to the election, we had several meetings with all the stakeholders in the election. We had meetings with political parties under the aegis of Inter-Party Advisory Council. They also constituted a committee known as the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security. So we made it clear that in line with the provisions of the Electoral Act, armed police officers are not allowed around polling units. In fact, VIPs who are coming to polling units are not allowed to come with armed aids or escorts. So we made that very clear. Everybody agreed with that. There was no objection. And we made it clear that armed officers would not be far from this polling unit, so that if their expertise is needed, they can quickly step in. Now, on Saturday, the election that just took place, we received hundreds of distress calls. And we responded to majority of them. There were the scenario painted that unarmed policemen are there and people are attacking electoral staff and snatching ballot boxes. We responded to many of them and stopped that from happening. We saved the day in hundreds of them. But curiously, that's not making it to the news. That's, thank God for the police. They were able to save the day. That most people do not find newsworthy. So the ones you're focusing on are the places where the police got there quite a bit late. And I will say this, the police officers unarmed, people say they did not do anything. Even if they did anything, it wouldn't have amounted to much, because you see, the people that want to attack have a mindset. They want to attack successfully. They would have come earlier like a voter. They would have think that they are just two policemen. In that case, let's come in 10, or if they are 4 or 5, okay, let's come at 15. So my point is, when they are outnumbered, they are outnumbered. This is not magic. So the best thing is to call for backup, which we responded to most of the cases. Now we have 28 polling units where backup arrived late, but even where they arrived late, we made sure that we protected life. Not one person, I repeat, not one person was killed or died during the election. So that was how it went.
Oh, okay. Now, Mr. Benjamin, when we look at this issue in this perspective, you said when police officers come in and they intervene and they successfully, restore normalcy in such places, it doesn't make it to the news. Of course, it does make it to the news, and we do. If you listen to our news broadcast, I'm sure you would have heard that. But nevertheless, let's move away. You talked about from when police officers respond, and that officers are not supposed to come into or close to the polling areas with their guns, or because they don't want to scare voters. But when you have touts coming to polling units with broken bottles, machetes, and sticks, chasing away police officers, no matter how dangerous or suspicious Nigerians are of police officers, I still feel they feel a sense of protection and security in the presence of an armed police officer than a tout that's wielding one or two dangerous instruments to cause harm. So how far away do we have police officers that are armed roaming about to protect Nigerians from going to vote from their polling units, so that they can respond swiftly to any distress call and restore normalcy, so that they can prevent these hoodlums from cutting away ballot boxes to go and burn them somewhere else, and making nothing of Nigerians' mandates?
Okay, police officers don't roam about; they go on patrol. I need to correct that. In Mapoluku, Oshodi, a polling unit was attacked, and the ballot box and ballot papers were burned. The attention of the police was called. Before we got there, soldiers were there, and Nigerians about. Before we got there, because we're elsewhere, we're not in our offices watching TV, we're on patrol. Because we're elsewhere responding to a distress call, and we heard that there's another issue here. And we after sorting out this distress call, we went over there. So the soldiers had been there. So how far away can they be?
Yes.
That's the beauty of democracy. That's the beauty of democracy. You said something that people will feel safer in the presence of an armed police officer.
Yes.
Than
in
the presence of thugs.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the beauty of democracy. If the people together with one voice through the National Assembly can enact or amend the Electoral Act and say that from now on, armed police officers should be right at polling units, why not? Instead of posting people a little far away from polling units, then they'll just stay at the polling unit. We are armed, we have officers, and we have the arms, and we'll be there. So we are law enforcement officers. We enforce the existing laws, the laws that have been made by the people. So we can't just go against that law and post armed police officers there. Because if we did, the question you would be asking me now is, Ms. PPR, why did you contravene the Electoral Act? The Electoral Act said you should not post men there. Why did you post men there? So it's a function of the law. If the law is in place, we'll do that. But for now that the law does not permit us to post armed men to polling units, we'll try to get closer to the polling unit so that if there's an emergency, we can attend to it.
Okay,
Better.
Okay, but Mr. Benjamin, can you tell us if it is like, because in the Electoral Act it was said that when you come to cast your vote, when you are done voting and you still want to observe the way things are going on the polling units, we are expected to move like 300 meters away from the polling units, so that you will not, constitute any nuisance or any menace, so that the voting process can go on smoothly. So it is specifically stated that 300 meters away from the polling unit. Like, how many meters away from polling units are armed police officers were to be stationed?
Out of view. Totally out of view. So that voters don't
out of view, completely out of view.
Completely out of view. Completely out of view could be less than a kilometer away. Don't forget. Completely out of view does not mean they are far away. Don't misunderstand it. But out of view, so that voters don't feel intimidated, harassed, or feel that the whole process is too militarized.
Okay. Yes. Let's go to this this other part. Now, what level of collaboration is the police, established with the public, so that they could feel very, very secured coming to vote in the gubernatorial elections and the House of Assembly elections that is a few weeks away from now, which is March 11? Just like a week and few days away from now, given what happened in some of the polling units in the presidential elections.
Well, we are assuring Lagosians that we'll be out there to ensure that the elections go smoothly, and we're also encouraging them to take advantage of the emergency numbers we put out. I must commend Lagosians actually. On Saturday, I was briefly in the control room, and even when I was in the control room, I was with my walkie-talkie. I could listen to all that was going on, and I must commend Lagosians for making use of those numbers. People called in from morning till night to complain about one anomaly or the other, even though some of them are not security related. So people would call to say, we've not seen our INEC officials, they have not come. So, but I must commend them for taking advantage of that, and we encourage them to do more of that. The numbers are out there. If you want, I can call it again. So we need to collaborate with the people. They need to give us information so that we can know where the problem is and we can respond adequately.
Okay. Mr. Benjamin, we cannot go without looking at another aspect of this electoral process and voting that took place recently, and I'm sure you are very, very much aware of it. And it is the story about a particular tribe being attacked, driven away from their business centers, and their shops being locked or looted in the public domain. I know you responded by saying that it only happened in somewhere in Mandelas, where issues revolved around market association matters. You also said that fake news amplified the whole thing when it was said that similar incidents happened at other markets. But yet, in places like Ilukbeju, in places like Adeshion, in places like Igbaja and Ojodu Berger under the pedestrian bridge, there was similar occurrences, and we got phone calls and reports that these particular people are being chased away from their shop. How did the police responded to these attacks?
Why don't you want to mention the particular people that have been chased away?
Oh, the Igbos. There's a complaint from the there's a complaint by that the Igbos have been chased away from their marketplaces.
Thank you. So let's call a spade, and we shouldn't be tribal about all of this, because we are trying to find solutions to this thing. So we shouldn't shy away from identifying what the problem is, so that we can give it the type of response or solution that will be long-lasting. Now, Igbos in particular, that is the truth, complained that they were being attacked. The complaint I saw was that Igbos are being attacked. They didn't say some traders. They were specific about it, that Igbos were being attacked. And the person that made this claim said they were being attacked, their properties were being destroyed, and just like you said now, you two mentioned the word looted, that their shops were being looted. And this was spreading fast. It was going far and wide, and I called the police team that responded to that thing.
Okay.
And it took you to realize that yes, Igbos were being chased away from their shops. I know what I'm saying. I'm not just speaking out of the blues. These are facts. That Igbos specifically were being targeted and being chased away from their shops. And the police got there right on time. Not one person was attacked. Not one shop was looted. No property was destroyed. And they got it right on time. And
Mr. Benjamin, I mean, I have to jump in here because there were shops that were attacked. Probably it was where maybe not in Mandelas, but in places that we saw at Lukweju, Adesina area, somewhere in Ojodu, Berja, we also received calls. They were attacked and chased away. And some of their shops were looted.
Let me conclude with my answer. I'm talking about the response I gave that people are reacting negatively to that particular response.
All right.
And our police officers were stationed there and made sure that not one person was attacked. And that anybody that wanted to open his or her shop, feel free. It's a market association issue. The police would not enforce that. But all will ensure is nobody gets attacked. And so coming out to give that assurance and to admit that, yes, some people were trying to do this, but we are there, we have stopped everything. I think should have focused more on the fact that the police was non-partisan. The police did not say, we will look away because they are attacking a particular tribe. The police was there right on time to prevent further attack. And so it's unfortunate that people read tribal meaning into it. As a police officer of the Nigerian Police Force, I have no issues looking at tribes before responding to issues.
Mr. Benjamin, I'm sure they are not looking at it from that perspective that the police is being tribal. Nobody will take that. I'm very, very sure of that. But their expectation that the police didn't actually really meet the expectation from what they, what they expected from the police in tackling that particular issue.
Okay, so like I said, not one person was attacked. I need you to debunk that if you have the facts. Not one person was attacked in Mandela, and we positioned our men there. Now, the issue is fake news. Now, the next thing I heard was that Igbos were being attacked in Igbo. It turned out to be fake. In fact, after I debunked the one of Mandela, people decided not to. I mean, share my rebuttal. People still decided to keep sharing that original one that people were...
we saw your rebuttal. We saw it. We took it on air too.
No, I'm not saying you.
Okay.
So 4 hours later, it was still going around that, they are attacking Igbos, which was not true. Then later people said they were burning, that Ladipo was on fire, that people said it's on fire. It wasn't true. Even the chairman of the market had to come out to say, no, Ladipo is safe. The video you are saying is an old video when Ladipo was on fire, had fire incidents years ago. So now you talked about you said Lukweju,
Adesina, yes, Igbaja.
Like I said earlier, I cannot assure anybody that some miscreants or some hoodlums would not attempt to cause. But I can assure the Goshen that when these things happen, we would be there to respond. And all of these places, you've talked about the opera there,
yes,
there. But I would like you to also talk about police response. Did you hear or did your investigation show that we did not respond? You would not see that. We would always respond, and we responded, and that is why Lagos is safe as we speak. We did not allow any breakdown of law and order, and we will not allow any breakdown of law and order.
Okay. Mr. Benjamin, now, during elections or when you hear that people's stores are being looted or attacked in this particular way, even if it appear or it seem or you think that it could be fake news, does the police force take the initiative of sending teams to these places to go and verify, and not just for the purpose of verifying, but to also send police teams to hotbeds, to areas, to gray areas, and hideouts, criminal hideouts, or to places like Oshodi, places like Surulere, or places where you have majority of Igbo traders and the tendency for them to be attacked or chased away from their store, just to send the police presence there to register some form of deterrence in the mind of any unscrupulous elements that wants to constitute the menace of attacking another Nigerian. Does the police... Okay, yes.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you. I challenge you to bring facts and figures of one Igbo man that has been attacked.
Mr. Benjamin, you're always challenging me. The last time you came, you were challenging me to things, and now you are doing it again. It's okay, but I also mentioned places that these things happened and there was no police presence, and you didn't challenge me on that.
Would you allow me?
Okay, yes, please go on.
Okay, so I'm saying that yes, people attempted to cause tribal war. People attempted to attack certain groups. But I am saying that as we speak now, based on facts and figures, you cannot point out as one person that was attacked successfully.
I know persons whose shops were attacked. People whose shops were attacked and driven away from their shops called me, Mr. Benjamin. They did.
Okay, people whose shops were
Attacked. Called me.
I mean, why after calling the police? Okay, let not sound combative.
Okay.
Let me just keep it civil.
Yes.
Okay, so people whose shops were attacked. Okay, that's unfortunate if it indeed happened. But I would urge people who experience such to, after calling journalists like you, let them know. They should also let the police know so that it can be looked into.
Thank you very much.
Call while this is going on, or maybe they have an idea that this is about to happen, so that we can quickly step in and prevent such.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Benjamin. Now, before we go, let's take a look at, you have always emphasized the political class need to talk to their followers to depart from violence. Are there instances where the police are to caution politicians from making utterances that can lead to violence, or are there instances where police officers, will have to read riot acts to politicians if not pick them after they make utterances or comments that may result to violence?
Okay, before the elections took place, like 2 weeks before the election took place, the Lagos State Police Command had a meeting with all political parties, every single political party that had candidates in Lagos, 18 of them, under the aegis of the Inter-Party Advisory Council. And we talked about the need to shun violence, and we also used the opportunity to listen to their concerns and how we could address those concerns. So this is something we've been doing and will continue to do. As I speak to you, by 12 noon today at the police headquarters, we're also having another meeting with political parties and opinion holders to talk about security concerns and how to ensure that we don't have any sort of problem in Lagos State.
Okay, but Mr. Benjamin, during elections, do we have police officers, still carry out stop and search issues so that some of this unscrupulous elements hibernating one way or the other, moving around with some instruments to attack people, probably incidentally could be searched and arrested by the force?
Well, don't forget that there's restriction of movements on election day.
Yes.
So any vehicle moving is suspicious and will be stopped and checked. And if they happen to have the necessary clearance, they're probably INEC staff, journalists, and all of that, they'll be allowed to go. So there's restriction of movement. So definitely every vehicle that is not supposed to move that day will be stopped and searched. Definitely. Okay.
Yes. You also mentioned, you said that political analytical units set up for the elections and post-election crisis has been responding to some of the violence that happened in Lagos during the elections. Have they come out with any report yet?
The moment we arraign all of these facts in court, you get a comprehensive report of what offense have been charged with and where they were arraigned and all of that. You'll get it once.
Okay. Before I have a penultimate question here before we finally let you off. The Commissioner of Police, Idowu Owuhua, said that the police will do a post-election evaluation and come up with specifics. I'm beginning to wonder, because that statement for me was not really conclusive. I was beginning to wonder if you could make a conclusion of what he meant by saying that.
I don't really get your question. He said he will do a post-mortem.
Yes.
Yes, that's what it is. At the end of the election, we are going to do debriefing and assess, review our election security operations.
Yes.
And based on the outcome of the review, we'll be able to answer questions put up by journalists and make better improvements to our security.
Okay, but finally, before you go, I asked you this question when you came the last time, and I'm going to ask it again. There is this tendency and this outlook from the Nigerian youth that when they see police officers, they feel this form of aggression and suspicion and distrust. How can we begin to bridge this gap so that the Nigerian youth, the young Nigerian, can see the police officer, whether he is armed or not, or whether they are alone in an enclosed area, he is able to develop this trust and completely defer to the police officer and not to be aggressive or suspicion, like the level of distrust that exists between the young Nigerian and police officers. How do we begin to bridge that gap to end that trust?
Well, first and foremost, people should not be too challenging. Remain calm when you encounter police officers. At the same time, don't stand your ground if they want to do something unprofessional. And in the event that you see a police officer who did something unprofessional, please take advantage of the complaint line. You are helping to sanitize the system by reporting these officers. So the more bad officers take out of the system and the more professional officers you see out there, then the better the relationship will be between the police and the people. Okay, so in other words, come March 11th, where the gubernatorial elections and the House of Assembly elections are going to hold, Nigerians should see or anticipate a better policing for the elections and subsequently. That we pledge. Okay. Thank you so much, Benjamin Hundeyin, Superintendent of Police, Lagos State Police Public Relations Officer. It has been a robust moment having this conversation with you. Thank you very much. Okay. That's where we let off the police chief, and we will go on a break. And when we return, On Record continues. To stay with us.
Beyond the everyday conversations, away from the noise and rumors, despite the trends, every word counts and it stays on record. Every weekday, 9 a.m. on your urban lifestyle station, High Impact 102.1 FM. Call us 0700 1021 1021. WhatsApp 0907 224 5018.
Are you looking for an avenue to blast your brand? Why not let us be your detonator at High Impact Radio 102.1 FM with Got You Covered. For advert placement, sponsorship, partnership, call us on 0706 393 5694 0915 958 1881 0902 745 3931 or send an email to info@highimpactstudio.com.
Every patriotic Nigerian should hear this. Any politician who means well for the people will never allow themselves or their supporters to engage in any violent, destructive activities. No politician who truly wants to serve the people and develop the nation will encourage his followers to destroy properties or take human lives before, during, or after the elections. The Nigerian public must watch out for these traits and isolate any politician who encourages supporters to engage in violence. No genuine politician or patriot will cause trouble and seek to destroy the very society which they aspire to lead or develop. Politicians who have the good of the people at heart will not allow themselves or their followers to engage in violence, destruction of properties, and then taking of lives. Be vigilant. By their words you shall know them. Shun violence. Stay away from politicians who want you to do so. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NORA.
Welcome back, and many thanks for joining us on the program. My conversation today had been with the Superintendent of Police and Lagos State Police Public Relations Officer Benjamin Ondane. We took a look at, some of the crises during the elections and post-electoral election crisis, and the complaints we received from many Nigerians who went out to vote that day, the intimidation and the experience. Well, Sarah Wusu answer is here. Let's conclude it together. So, I'm sure you listened to our conversation. Okay, and I will say that at the moment in time, the police must be, hard pressed from every side to respond swiftly to some of these distress calls and to restore normalcy. What's your take from the conversation we had?
Well, I would say that the PRO of the force actually has come out to talk about steps that the police force is taking to, contain everything that is going on, to dispel rumors, to ensure that police officers are deployed to areas where there are cases of violence. However, I think that there are certain areas where these police officers are not deployed to. Just like you mentioned at Ilukweju, it's not hearsay, it's happened. We got these people to tell us what happened, and then police officers were not deployed to these areas. Actually, detention doused when these traders had they had to leave their shops and run for safety, amongst the number of things. And when you were talking to him about having policemen at polling units who are not armed, I remember he on social media, on Twitter, his response was talking about how we said that sometimes having armed police officers intimidates the voters. And so now, for a particular situation, I saw a particular situation where there seemed to be an attack at a polling unit and there was presence of police officers who were not armed. And someone came out to ask why the police officers did not do anything. And he went ahead to explain that, they were not armed, and so they gave feedback to police officers that were armed, and they were waiting for the police officers that were armed to respond at the scene. In that space of waiting, a lot of things could go wrong. So I think that it is time for us to actually find a structure that works. Fine, okay, police officers that are armed might be a sort of intimidation to the voters, but when this knowledge is out there that police officers that are not armed are the ones at polling unit, don't you think that those that want to perpetrate evil, violence, would take advantage of the fact that they know that the police officers there are not armed? So it's an opportunity for them to do whatever they want to do before the arrival of. So I think we need to revisit that to find a way that our polling units are safe and non-intimidating at the same time. We need to find a balance. Let's not say because we want it to be non-intimidating, we're now leaving out the element of safety. Because the policemen, they are not armed. And let's not say because we want people to be safe by putting armed policemen, we are taking out the element of non-intimidation. We need to find a balance.
That's why I had to come in and talk to him about how Nigerians or how Lagosians will feel more safe in the presence of an armed police officer in the polling unit than living there, a police officer not armed, but you see a tout or a thug who is armed, wielding a stick or a broken bottle or probably even a machete to come and threaten those who are going to cast their votes. So I know Mr. Benjamin. Then he said that we work within the space or the confines of the law. It will mean that if armed police officers are supposed to be there, there will be need for the revisiting of the electoral act, and the legislators will need to sit. Yes, he is right. However, is there a way this thing can be dealt with? Because if it is not, this tout will always take advantage of that vacuum, of that gap. And when they do that, it might even defeat the good intentions of the government, the good intentions of INEC to conduct free, fair, and credible polls. I
would like to just really hold on to what Superintendent Benjamin said in regards to the forthcoming Guba elections, March 11th. And I'm really going to believe and be hopeful that these cases that we saw, like he mentioned, he said that he cannot absolutely assure that some unscrupulous elements will not come to play to take advantage of certain things and to constitute nuisance.
Yes.
However, he gave his word that the Nigerian police will do all that they can to ensure that the elections, the environment is safe. I want to hold on to that. Really, I want to see the difference in that regard from the 25th of February to the 11th of March.
But one thing I asked him that I didn't actually got a reassuring response to was the stationing of police officers to places that you know that these are volatile areas.
That's what I'm saying. Like there are places where, you know, even before the elections,
you should carry out a raid on those specific places to, you know, disarm some of these people who might want to go out to foment trouble. The police presence should be in these volatile areas that have the tendency to make things worse or to cause things to go out of hand. And when you don't get that, you begin to ask, because you are the people that have the intelligence, you work with intelligence, and you are equipped to make sure that these persons are dislodged from the system. But when we don't see that, in these volatile areas are not secured with police presence, then people begin to raise eyebrow and to ask questions.
Absolutely. We hope that after this conference, I'm sure that the PRO is going to, you know, is going to be answering questions, responding to questions from the media, from the press, from journalists all through this period. And I want to believe that this is something that would keep coming up, this particular question. And I am hopeful that come March 11th and even any other elections we'll be having in the country, these things will be looked into, these volatile areas. There will be some sort of research, there will be some sort of, you know, investigation to find out these areas that actually need a lot of police presence and supervision. And these areas would be given the adequate attention in terms of protecting lives and properties of people in that area. Because, you know, there's some areas that when you just hear the name, your mind is already like, oh, this thing is a no-go area. I can't go there during elections. Oh, this place is not safe to go. It's over the years, there are certain locations that once you hear their name, the next thing people tell is, I can't, you stay around this side, I can't come there during elections, or please don't come out of your house during elections, it's not safe, this area is not safe. We should start to channel intentional attention to these areas so that people can see a difference. Because when people know that whatever election we're having, this area is a no-go area, they thrive on that. They continue to perpetuate evil, violence in those areas because they know that is a norm. This is going to happen in this area. So we should start to, you know, nip these things in the bud as soon as possible.
I'm beginning to anticipate March 11th election, and with the way the police responded to some of the distress calls, notwithstanding the fact that they were stating that there are more than 13,000 polling units across Lagos, and quite a number of police personnel have been deployed to these units to make sure that security is tied up and well doing. I heard in another platform when he was responding to these questions, I even asked him the same question: how does it take? What level of distance do we give the police to stay away from polling unit? And he said completely out of view. They are supposed to be completely out of view. Even if they are going to completely be out of view, it should be able to tell us that, okay, they are supposed to say 300 meters away, just the way INEC said, for civilians who've gone to cast their votes and they want to still observe the process, they can stay 300 meters away. Probably the police should stay 700 meters. I mean, the armed police officers should stay 700 meters or even 800 or 900 meters away from the polling unit, so that it will not be, they won't go through arduous task, a very long period of time before responding to distress calls when issues of disruptive activities erupt in those areas. And the police needs to assure Nigerians of that. And March 11th,
right. I really hope that we can get the PRO back after the March 11th elections.
Yes.
We'll now do an analysis of the 25th, the conversation we've had with him, and what happened
after the
March 11th. So we can see, do a progress sheet and see how far we've come.
Not just that, talking about the ethnic rivalry and the chasing away of some persons from their markets, from their shops being looted and broken. Talking about that, personally, I think we should invite again the Lagos State Director of the National Orientation Agency, because he made so much boasts about the agency speaking and interacting with Nigerians every day, and some of the exercise and the activities they do to go to local communities, including the garages, to go there, and they use the local language as a weapon to interact with these people. And if their job and in their business is to make sure that we have unity in this country, and they give orientation and create awareness, sensitize the public for us to work in line with government policies and not to be at the opposite end of the government policies. They should be able to interact with those who have been tagged touts or thugs who are being deployed by politicians to foment trouble, to interact with these persons, to not to carry out all these dastardly acts on fellow Nigerians just because they are from a different tribe.
Right. Well, definitely, it's a valid point, and I think that if we reach out to the director of the NOA,
I'm
would
sure
be
he
willing
will be very willing to come
on
again
and clear all of these issues, and we're looking to working towards that.
Thank you very much, Sarah Wilson. And sir,
Thank
I am
you.
Oyin Priye Krumale. It's on record where every word matters, but that's where we draw the curtain this morning. We will leave you today, and tomorrow we will be in your face again with the program where every word matters. Do have yourself a beautiful day.